Hey everybody, and welcome back to another First Time Watch Friday on Horror Film Lovers. I'm your host, Jonathan Moody. So we're gonna do something different. Originally, I said I was gonna do some like Showtime first watches, and I did a couple, but I'm switching it up because I saw that I've never seen Lost Boys: The Tribe, and I had to check it out. So I had bought it recently on DVD and thought, why not watch it for first time watch, so it's funny, and I posted about it on Facebook that, last night when I was watching it, and all I could think of was how many people really hate this movie. Now, it wasn't just like a couple people, like it seems like a lot of people actually do not like this movie. Um, and I guess it's a little justified. Um, I think the biggest problem it has is that it's a sequel that only relies on Edgar as like the connection to the first original Lost Boys. I mean, I guess technically it's another gang of vampires. They're surfers. They ride motorcycles. They're in a surf town in Canada. I'm thinking it's supposed to be California, but it's like everybody talks very, very Canadian. They're like about and whatnot and stuff. And I'm just like confused. I was like, wait, what? Everybody else seems English, but a couple people are definitely Canadian, and they never address it because I guess in that world, California is close to Canada enough. I don't know. Um, but anywho, that didn't make me not like the movie. In fact, it just confused me as to like what is going on necessarily. So in the beginning, we meet the like, was it four or five gang members, the tribe as they're called. Which, by the way, if this wasn't a Lost Boys movie, it could have definitely passed off as another vampire movie and just been called The Tribe. Sadly, it wouldn't have gotten the recognition it got, and actually might have been for the better because it, wouldn't have gotten fallen under the cracks as like, oh my god, this is a terrible uh rip off of Lost. This is a terrible like sequel to Lost Boys. Um, so anyway, this I guess this really cool surfer comes to town, and he becomes part of this. He sees some guy that he didn't like, that apparently doesn't like that he moved to the same town, which he moved because his aunt. He and his sister moved because his aunt. Well, their parents had died, I guess, a couple of years ago, and I'm like, where were they before this? But anyway, one girl's 17, almost 18. They make a mention of that. The other boy, I guess, is older, so he's in his 18, like 18, 19, something like that. The guy right there, Chris. Then you see Angus Sutherland right next to Chris, right there, and Angus was Kiefer Sutherland's, I think, son, I want to say, and he doesn't remind me at all of his dad in this movie. Like I think a lot of people are excited that he was in it. I love Autumn Reeser, who plays Chris's sister. Really like her, but I've liked her ever since like Entourage. I've seen her Entourage, so I always adored her. There were a lot of babes in this movie, a lot of hot girls. But it honestly, like, when so in the story, they move to this town, it's infected by vampires. We see Sex Machine, aka Tom Savini, who's not Sex Machine, but basically another version of him. I'm wondering, I guess he didn't do the effects, but maybe he did. I don't know. I never looked into that. Um, but we got Sex Machine in there. We got a lot of references to the original movie. We got a beer-bellied saxophone guy. I'm guessing that was supposed to be a joke. about the original movie, but I couldn't understand it. Um, Now this goes into the idea of Chud 2 kind of territory, where Chud 2 was a film that sort of a film that sort of had problems because it wasn't a it wasn't really a Chud film, and this was sort of like that. It was, I mean, they did do a lot of references and a lot of different things. They threw back to Edgar Frog, aka Corey Feldman, who once again only connection to the original movie in terms of actual like connection. Um, but he doesn't like, even with him in it, he doesn't do anything. And I think what was missing was literally his brother. Like, I think if those two guys had gotten their own spin-off movie, and I've discussed this in another podcast that you're going to listen to later next month in July. But I think if the Frog Brothers got their own sequel, it would have been a much better movie. However, this felt like weird because like I didn't care about any of the people because I didn't know any of the people. Now I didn't know any of the people in the original Lost Boys, but they had character development and they had like I it was fun. This I think the biggest problem with this movie is sort of lacks a lot of fun. It gets really like it's sort of serious throughout, and it's I don't know. It's very 2008, which is when it was made. It's just it very much feels like a vampire movie from that time period. I remember when they were making like From Dusk Till Dawn 2 and 3, and I think this sort of fell in that, but like at least part 2 had I think Scott Spiegel directed that one, and the guy who directed this was PJ Pesci or something. And I never heard of him. He apparently did some of the music, so I'm wondering if he was a musician. He, it, I don't know. Like it was for a sequel. It was okay, but it wasn't a great movie. Um, but I had a lot more fun than I guess I expected to. Um, there was I'm trying to think of things like that are sort of positive. I mean, like I said, it's got really good looking chicks. It's got I don't know, it's got some fun. It's got some hip music, I guess, but not as hip as the original soundtrack for Lost Boys. You'll never get that hip. Um, it just felt too direct to video, and the ending was terrible. And like the ending was terrible because I just I was so disappointed by the aunt because we were supposed to like it was supposed to be a joke that like in the first movie the grandpa knew like that there were vampires around here. um and the uh what is it, the aunt mentions like, you guys are acting like a bunch of vampires, and I was like, oh my god, really? And so I kind of rolled my eyes at that. All in all, would I suggest buying it? Um, if you're a collector like me and you want to have all three of the Lost Boys movies just because you want to have all three of the Lost Boys movies, I would do it. If you want, if you think it's going to be a good movie, check it out. But I would rent it first if you haven't seen it. Just like me, I bought it, but I bought it for like $1. Like if you find it for $1 at like a Goodwill or something, or a Dollar Tree or something like that, go get it there. Like absolutely pick it up. It's definitely worth that. Is it worth more than that? Probably not. I wouldn't go out and buy it. It's one of those movies that I just, after a while, like it sits with you and you're just like, I don't I don't know. Like, did I come out of this movie with anything? And then it has like sort of like, because at that time, 2008 was when like Iron Man came out and they were doing all those like post credit sequences and stuff, and to start with. So I was like, okay, we're getting a post credit sequence. Awesome. And it was, I guess it was his brother, but like the brothers never like sort of talk, like never mentions his name or anything. He's never like, oh hey Alan, and we know like he lost his brother. I thought his brother got killed by the vampires, and I'm guessing that's what you're supposed to believe. But I guess his brother got turned into a vampire at the end, and I'm just like, I don't know. So I just kind of, I didn't like it because there was no text to it. It just kind of happens, and I didn't get what was going on. So I was not happy at that. But all in all, I suggest, if you, like I said, if you're kind of want to see it, I mean, if I had to rate it anything out of 5 stars, I would have probably give it 2.5. It's not nearly as good. Now I've heard The Thirst is even worse, the last one. And I want to watch that by next, Friday, so I could also review that one. But we'll see. We'll see. I'm not. I'm not really trying to, plan ahead if I can, but like that is an idea of what I want to do is just watch that other one so I can say I've seen it as well and give you my thoughts on it, because I have not seen. There are a lot of sequels of films that I've not seen. Uh, Usually because I have no interest or something, or whatever. Um, the main interest in this was we just did a podcast for the Lost Boys, the original Lost Boys, and I fell in love all over again. And then this movie doesn't ruin the Lost Boys, but it's sort of like, it feels like it's just a different movie, you know. Um, so I would suggest renting it or getting it for $1. But if you find it for like $6 or something, that's not bad. Like I would buy it. I don't know. I'm really weird about that stuff. Like I buy these crap because sometimes really crappy movies are still fun, but sometimes they're just boring. And this movie, this movie has some slow moments to it. I I kept yelling at kind of at the TV because the brother keeps leaving his vampire sister at his house and doesn't like tie her up or anything. And I'm like, so you think she's just gonna stay at the house? And he does this like more than once. So like the first time she leaves, like you would think he would be smart, you know. But then the second time she leaves again. And I'm like, oh my God, what a freaking moron. But I don't know. Like I understand he's a kid, but like that just drove me nuts. But they had to, because they had to have her keep leaving and stuff. It would have been a greater scene, I think, if she got called to come to the guy, and he can't stop her from going at that particular moment, and stuff. That would have been a better scene. But her just leaving because the dude went over to, I'm like, why doesn't Edgar go over at his house? Like, why does he have to come to Edgar's house and talk? Like in the middle of nowhere. Like what, that makes absolutely no sense. So there's like little things like that that really kind of drag the movie down and make it sort of not as good as, obviously not nearly as good as the original. But once again, if you haven't seen this movie and you're not going to see it because you don't want to ruin, because I've heard this, that people don't want to ruin um, their love for the original. And I'm thinking, it's not gonna ruin your love for the original, but it is it is honestly going to make you like angry at the fact that it's a Lost Boys movie when it's not really a Lost Boys movie. It's the tribe, and I'm guessing this next one is just the thirst or whatever thirst. So we'll see. We'll see what I think of the next one. I think I'm really gonna try to do that on the next first time watch Friday. But we'll see. Until then, everybody, have a good one. Bye.